Welcome back. What's up? So, yeah, I just saw the Justice League movie, and I thought I have to give my opinion on it. So, there's a few things. I'm no critic. I'm no genius. But there's a lot I do have to say about it. So, first thing, okay, I'll turn my firewall on later. First thing I'd like to mention is, like, just the pure cinematics were amazing. A lot of the effects and stuff were executed pretty well. Now, actual critics are saying that it was like, I can't remember the exact rating, but it wasn't fantastic. That it was like, eh. And my personal rating is, it fluctuates between 6.5 or 7 out of 10. Because, first of all, they pretty much nailed every move in that movie. I mean, like, Wonder Woman had a fantastic role. Aquaman, they pretty much completely reshaped him entirely as a character from, like, the comics and stuff. But, I mean, like, he's still, like, a very bold character, and he plays, like, a really good role, and the actor he just kills it. I mean, like, they couldn't have picked anyone better, to be honest. This is all my opinion. You don't have to agree with me. That's what the comment section is for. Anyways, the Flash. Now, a lot argue that he's not like Flash. Like, he's not Barry Allen, you know? He's very different from the original. He looks totally different and everything, and I do agree, but the personality is exactly the same. I mean, he's pretty much just Flash. I mean, there's nothing that different about him. He's, like, anxious teenager, but, like, other than that, like, killed it. Role was amazing. Now, Cyborg was pretty much just literally ripped from Teen Titans. It's amazing how they pretty much nailed his role precisely. The other guys were kind of iffy. There were parts that were missing. There were parts that had changed about them, but Cyborg, I feel that the look they gave him and the personality they gave him was extremely well done. And he was one of the most, like, quality characters out of that whole movie, in my opinion. Now I don't wanna look too many spoilers out. So there's like I'm gonna warn you before every spoiler I let out. Now, I'm not going to quite yet, but Batman had an interesting role. He kind of didn't, his role fluctuated. Like, sometimes it was like, okay, this is Batman, but other times it's like, this is like some cheesy ass Ben Affleck BS, but like, it was still like really good. But it's just Batman's role. There was a few little tweaks that were off. Now, Batman, when he introduces himself to strangers, including the entire Justice League, he talks in a very monotone voice. He's very serious, shows no emotion towards them. He doesn't really view them as, like, best buds, pals, you know? Old sports. They're just people. They're just associates to him. But he treated them more like friends that he's known for a while in the movie, and that threw me off, because that's just not a Batman thing to do. And when you play through the Arkham games, when you read the comics, when you watch the shows and animations, it's always monotone with people he does not know. But in this movie, they gave him more of, like, a friendly personality towards everyone else, which personally threw me off, because that's not really his character. They knew him more as Bruce than they did as Batman, and that's not how he introduces himself. And that's the pinpoint of the entire movie that really frustrated me. But other than that, they pretty much just skimmed over a lot of stuff that they could have put in. There was a few scenes that probably could have been improved upon, in sense of, like, how much time they spent on one thing versus another, stuff like that. But otherwise, I think it was a fantastic movie. It pretty much loses 1 point for Batman personality, 1 point for storyline accuracy, because, I mean, like, you're always going to have to take a point for that, because they can't be 100% accurate. I noticed throughout the movie that by the time I was done watching it, I did notice that they kind of just appealed to the mainstream crowd rather than DC fans, but I do have to give them credit for still appealing to DC fans. I mean, it's only people like me and probably others watching this video that are like, well, yeah, I understand all the nitpicky things that you're annoyed by. But to your average just DC fan who maybe has just watched some movies and watched a couple like of the animated show or Teen Titans, the originals, people like that may be more appealed to this movie, or people who have seen Batman vs Superman and say Suicide Squad, they may be more turned to see this movie, more convinced, because it's something that fits their criteria, something that's easier to understand, and they don't throw in too many specific references that only I would understand, or only a die-hard DC fan would understand. They kind of just skipped some steps to maybe sacrifice other things for a more cinematic appeal to the public. Which, that's part of the reason I take off a third point, is because they kind of put in the appeal to the public. Now, the 0.5 fluctuates because it's the character development. They had an odd way of introducing... I mean, I like the way they introduced each character, but the way they presented each character and their personalities differs so much from their real personalities. And it's only the little things, and that's why I took off 0.5, is because it wasn't... They didn't completely destroy the character like they did with Jared Leto's Joker, or the Harley Quinn in Suicide Squad. Now, mind you, I didn't see Suicide Squad, and I did that optionally because I knew that it would just not be a good movie for a DC fan to see. For someone who absolutely knows zero about DC, I think it was probably a great movie. But I didn't want to disappoint myself in the end. Judging by their outfits and characterization, I knew that it was just not going to be a great movie. But anyways, off topic, that's what I'm saying, is they didn't destroy the characters like Suicide Squad, but they didn't bring in the characters like the animations, like the old shows and movies. I think those really brought together the characters, whereas this was more of a... We need a cinematic effect. We don't need character development as much, which is completely understandable. So that's my entire review of the whole movie. Now I'm moving from here to here. We're about to hit the spoilers, guys, and I mean, like, these aren't your average spoilers. These are like hardcore spoilers, okay? These are just a few things I just want to make mentions of for those of you who have seen the movie. If you have not seen the movie, I highly suggest you close out of the video now. Otherwise, you're about to be hit with major spoilers. I mean, like, massive spoilers. I mean, these are like end credit scene level stuff. So, Lex Luthor from Batman vs Superman does make an appearance in this movie, and I never liked his character, and the little appearance he does have in this movie and the after credit scene isn't that great. And just because of the actor they chose, I just don't agree with Lex Luthor's character at all. That Batman vs Superman for me was maybe a 4 out of 10, just because, but that's a whole other video probably. But at the end, there's one character that I have high expectations for in the next movie, and that's Slade Wilson, which, if you don't know who that is, and you're still here, that's Deathstroke. And if you don't know who that is by now, then you probably shouldn't be watching these movies. But just quick Google search Deathstroke, read up on him if you don't know anything about him. Moving on. Everything about what I've seen of him, which is very, very little amounts. I mean, like, he was in, like, less than 30 seconds of a scene. But, his outfit was almost precise to that of every representation of Slade. And he did take his helmet off to introduce the actor and what he looked like. And that, to me, was spot on. One major nitpicky part that I got about this whole movie, though, was the scene where Superman came from his grave. Now, again, major spoiler, I already warned you. But, basically, in the movie, they did bring back Superman, which was kind of expected. But, the original scene from, you know, comic books and the animated show or movie, I don't remember. I remember seeing it a long time ago. But he did have a black and white suit on and was very confused about who he was. But in the movie, the scene was played out entirely different for cinematic effects. Now, the way they did play it out was interesting, and it's another reason why I kind of took away a point was because they took away part of the storyline, but that's just me being a nitpicky person. So, as a DC fan, didn't like that. As looking from a cinematic viewpoint, I guess I could understand. But anyway, that pretty much wraps up the entire movie for me. I do suggest you guys go see it, even if you're a hardcore DC fan, and even if you're not, it's an enjoyable movie to watch nonetheless. You're gonna need some background context on what happened in probably Batman vs. Superman and Wonder Woman. Those are two movies you might want to see before seeing this one. But this, nonetheless, is probably one of my favorite DC movies. It definitely makes it in the top 5 to maybe 10. It could make 6th place, but nonetheless, it does make it up there in the DC movies. I think this was a pretty good strike for them, and I wish to see more to come. So, high expectations for future DC movies. Anyways, that pretty much wraps up my review. Star Wars is going to come out soon. I'll probably do a review of that. I didn't do one of episode 7, which I did plan on doing, but never got around to it. But episode, what is this, 8? Yeah, 8. I will 100% do a review on this because this movie looks absolutely stunning. Anyways, I will see you guys in the next video. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, be sure to leave a like down below. Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe for more shit like this. I will see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.